Alrighty. Let's get her going. Alrighty, welcome in, folks. How's it going? Hello, Doppel. Welcome to a special extra bonus stream of Final Fantasy XIV because I decided I wanted to do some more talking about 7.3 because we didn't really get to after we finished 7.3 because it was late. Because I had to get up at 8 a.m. today and drive out to the lake to work on a deck for what was supposed to be like maybe 6 hours. Ended up being like 8.5 because we had to do way more work than we thought we did because fucking my dad's brother has no idea how to build a deck, so we had to fix all his mistakes. So as you can see, I got a little burnt. There's a definitive line. Might be hard to see on the camera, but you can see right here. I was out in the sun for quite a while. So, yeah, we're pretty tired today, but I wanted to yap about 7.3. So let's go over to... Just go to living memory. See the burn line? Yeah. It's not, I don't know if it's going to burn or if it's just like a nice tan. I think I might have burned my neck a little bit. When I first started working, I didn't have a wide-brimmed hat on because I forgot mine, but I found one in the house that I put on later, but I think it was too late. But yeah. God, this place looks really pretty now. No, I didn't burn my head. That's why I looked for the hat. That's why when I'm outside, I always wear a hat. Usually I have a cowboy hat that I wear, just like a shitty one, just so, you know, wide brim. Nice and nice for the shade, nice for the sun. So I don't think my head is burned because I put the hat on decently quickly, but yeah, I think my neck and my arm still took a bit of a burning to it, but that's okay. I don't think it's that bad. My neck is probably the only thing that I think actually burnt. I think the rest of me is just tanned. Anyways, 7.3. Let's talk about it. So, we finished it up yesterday, for those who don't know. And oh boy, was it a good one. Big fan of 7.3. It was a really good showing on the MSQ. Excuse me. Yeah, you made 2 calls. I know I made 1 call. I might have made 2 because we still don't know where Calyx got uploaded to. I'm still theorizing it's the Tiara, but could go either way. I'm not sure. I feel like that might be too... They would have revealed it was in the Tiara in this patch if he was in there. I feel like to do it later would be too long. People would forget. But yeah, you called that he escaped and that an Ascian is involved. But yeah, so let's talk about it. So overall, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I think it is my favorite 0.3 patch. Because, like, comparing it to A Realm Reborn, I mean, A Realm Reborn's patches are the worst. Probably Endwalker next. I did like the Endwalker patches, but they did go kind of long. I don't think they needed to take the full 5 patches to tell the Endwalker story. But I did like it. Then probably... It's probably Stormblood's patch. No, it's probably Shadowbringer's patches and then Stormblood and then Dawntrail. I know people really liked Shadowbringer's 5.3. I don't think it's that good. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it feels a little underbaked. I think that's, like most things with Shadowbringers, I think it's rose-tinted glasses. Shadowbringers is very good, don't get me wrong, but not that good. I think it's a Void Ascian server they built for him. That's why I showed up in the Void space the Ascians use. Yeah, I mean, the fact that the Ascian was there is either that Ascian is also an Endless, or he's just somewhere where Ascians can be. I mean, it showed the, like, digital glitch effect as he spawned in, so I feel like it's in a server. I don't know if that confirms that the Ascian is also an Endless, or if it's just that's how they visualized him, like, communicating with Calyx, like, on the server. It really could go either way. And I guess it doesn't necessarily, they don't need to be an Endless to be in a server. We did that. We went in Tron style during Dawntrail's MSQ. So, yeah. But he could be an Endless. Does this reflection call Ascians as Winterers instead? I don't think so. Because I think we would have figured that out at some point during the MSQ if we knew Ascians had been involved, that they were called Winterers. Because if they got their own name, that means enough people know about them to give them a name, which I don't think is the case. Anyways, let's start from the beginning for 7.3. All right. So the first bit was the stuff with Geode, where he threw every death flag known to man and then subsequently died, which was to be expected, and is probably the reason why this isn't a 10 out of 10 patch for me. I think that was probably the weakest point. I do like how they did his death, like that cutscene where he died was really well shot. It was pretty cool. But you can't build up a character that much and then not kill them immediately after. It's just, it was too obvious. Yeah, we might be able to save Geode like Otis, because we do have his soul, which is the important part. Otis was rocking around in a robot body for centuries, I think, and he was just a soul. So it's very possible that Geode is technically still alive. Realistically, he's just stuck in a bottle. But yeah, like the shot of the robot walking through the dust and it actually throwing up like a dust particle effect. That was super cool. That was a great touch. I think one of the things I really want to call it for this patch is they really sold the illusion well. By that I mean they put in a lot of little touches to make you believe the stuff on screen was happening, right? Like the fact of the robot walking through the dust and the dust being disturbed and, like, you know, swirling up and making a big mess. Like, they didn't have to do that. They could have just been like, yeah, he's dead, and the robot, like, walks up to you or, like, steps over it or something. But they went the extra mile to be like, no, he steps through, and that would mean the dust gets bigger. Yeah, the other thing is the blood effects. There was a lot of blood in this patch. There was, I think, more blood in this patch than there has been in the entire game up until this point. It's generally pretty rare for 14 to show blood. In fact, I can think of maybe 3 instances where there's been shown blood. Like Horsefants. Does Nanamo show any blood? I think it's like 3 or 4. It's rare. It's very rare. And the fact that in this patch there was like the mother of the kid, Isadora, I think her name is sitting there in a pool of blood. We watch a researcher get shot point blank in the chest and blood seep out of her chest. And then we see Wooklamot destroy her hands trying to bust open the barrier to get at Calyx. Like, holy shit. Yeah, there was no blood when they cut off Raubon's arm. Back in the Realm Reborn, they were like, no, we can't show blood, because reasons. Even though they had the rating that they could let them show blood, but for whatever reason, they just didn't want to do it. But I know Horsefant is for sure. I mean, I think Horsefant is the first time blood is shown. That's why it's so shocking. That's why so many people remember Horsefant getting killed, is it's the first time blood is shown on screen. Stormblood, there might have been a couple, yeah. Like, I think Yotsuyu at one point bleeds from the mouth. Or no, I think, Asahi? Yeah. They might both bleed, but yeah, Stormblood had a couple different points of blood. I know there's one, I think at one point there's a character in Shadowbringers that shows up bloodied. I don't remember if he's just like fucked up and bruised or if there's actual blood on him, but I think that might be another one. And then in Endwalker, there's one particular instance where blood is shown by 2 dead bodies. And I think at the end, at the very, very end, in the last cutscene, I think there was blood shown, if I recall correctly. Blood spurts from Gosetsu when he's shot. Oh, okay. I did not remember that. So there's another one. So yeah, it's pretty rare. Like you can usually count on one hand how many times blood shows up in an entire expansion, patch cycle and all. And the fact that we got 3 like extremely obvious and graphic instances of blood in this patch is pretty crazy. And it worked though, because it's that selling that illusion, right? When someone is injured and there's no blood, in your head you kind of don't believe they've been injured that badly. That's why when Isadora was in a pool of blood, I was like, she's dead. Right, like there's no way she survives this, because the way Final Fantasy XIV handles blood means that if blood shows up, it's a grievous wound, and she was sitting in a pile of it. So the fact that she lived was like, oh, okay, like the rules are changing. There's been a change up. You think they might be going more bloody in later expansions? I think so. I think this might be them testing the waters and being like, are people cool with this? Like, do people like that it's a little more graphic? And from what I've been seeing, I think the reception has been positive. There hasn't been a ton of stuff I've seen about 7.3. I think a lot of people are waiting. A lot of content creators really like to wait to play MSQ. They give it like 2 weeks, which I'm not going to do that shit. You get like 3 days, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm playing it on Friday, all right? I'm not going to wait 2 weeks. I'm not big enough for that. Yeah, Hildebrand quests are super goofy. They're never going to have blood in them. They'll have people get fucked up, but no blood. It's a comedy quest line. But yeah, I think they might be really thinking like, okay, we can, if people are okay with this, we can really get show a lot more blood. Also, I think I just remembered another instance of blood in Stormblood. When I think Y'shtola gets hit by Xenos in Ralger's Reach when he invades. Before you go to Doma. I think she bleeds there as well. She's like a big gash on her chest, I think. But yeah, I would be for it. Because again, it's selling that illusion, right? It's like letting you know that like, oh yeah, characters are in pain, they're taking wounds. They're severe enough to bleed. Like when, like one of my favorite moments in point 3 was Wuklamot trying to break open the shield that protected Calyx's memories in the Mesa terminal, and like her hands are just like bright red, like all of the skin on her hands has been chafed off as she's slamming her axe into this barrier. Like that sold the effort so well. I don't remember Bloody Slash. I thought there was, but I don't remember super well. It's been a while since I played Stormblood, and Stormblood was one of the MSQs that I liked the least. I still enjoyed it, but it's I think it's my second least favorite. But yeah, so you go do the stuff with Geode. Then I think there's the instance where you talk to Shale, I believe. And Shale, I think there's stuff that happens in between that and Shale. But I don't remember what it is. But yeah, there was that whole instance with like Shale and like the puzzles and like investigating that area. That was super cool. I love that they're experimenting the gameplay there. I mean, people are going to be cheering the fact that Wook hurt herself just because she got hurt because people are assholes. Probably. I think most people who hated Wook to the point of like that level of vitriol probably stopped playing the game, if I'm being honest. People who got that mad, I think, quit the game at the end of the MSQ for Dawntrail, even if they even got that far. But yeah, probably people are douchebags. I am glad that they didn't just completely sideline Wook, like they did make her part of the patch content, even if it was a smaller part, because it was mostly about like Sphene. Which makes sense, right? Because Wook Lamont got all of the, you know, character that she was going to get in the main story. Right, that was what the whole main story of Dawntrail was from, or was for. Let me just do this. But yeah, that whole gameplay section with Shale, and like figuring out the puzzles there, they're not super complex puzzles, but it was such a nice change of pace. And I think the reason they're doing that is, this is something I brought up in regards to Dawntrail. This was before Dawntrail even came out that I was talking about this. The biggest problem with Dawntrail in its inception, right? The idea for Dawntrail, the biggest problem with the idea of Dawntrail is that, hello dog, is that Final Fantasy XIV has written two types of stories over the course of its life cycle. War stories and apocalypse stories. That's it. Those are the two. Every single narrative, like almost, at least the premise for every single expansion is one of those two things. Sometimes both. I think Endwalker specifically has both, right? A Realm Reborn, you're fighting the Primals and then the Garleans, so it's a war story. Heaven's Word, you're fighting the war against the dragons. Stormblood, you're fighting the war against the Garleans. Shadowbringers, you're stopping the apocalypse. The whatever it's called, Flood of Light, kind of. It's an apocalypse. It's basically a zombie apocalypse, really. Endwalker, you're fighting the Garleans again, and then the final days. And then you get to Dawntrail, and it's like, it's a vacation. We're helping this regent to be complete this test, which is fine in theory. The big problem is that they had no idea how to do that for two reasons. One, they've never done any narrative like that, so the writers did not know where to go. And two, there's no gameplay to support a narrative like that. You know, like there's no, you really have to go out of your way to put gameplay in a narrative about a regent going through a series of tests to prove themselves. Because unless that test is combat, which it wasn't, there's no gameplay. You can't fit the game of 14 into that story. There's no diplomacy rotation, right? There was no press 4 to convince the enemy. Like, it doesn't work, which is why the first half of Dawntrail is kind of dry, and why a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't mind it because I was looking for a change of pace, but the criticism that there was very little gameplay to be had in the first half is very accurate. And some of the combat they did have in the first half felt pretty contrived. Valagramonda is not a great trial when it comes to the story. He's kind of just there to be a problem and then dips. He's there for like an hour of in-game time, and then he's like, all right, we beat him. Time to move on. Wasn't the best. Yeah, then war happens with the second half, which is better, right? Because that's the second half gets a little more involved, although that takes until level 97, because they still have the Shalawani part, because they needed a 5th zone before they could go into the 6th one, and they just kind of paced Shalawani as mostly filler, which kind of sucked. Yeah, like the Azim Steppe is a good example in Stormblood, right? It's like, yeah, you have a bunch of vying tribes that are vying for political dominance, but they do so via giant fucking tournament, right? And in Stormblood, you still have the Garleans to fight wherever you go, because they've conquered the country, right? So if at any point you need combat, it's super easy. You just throw Garleans at the player. You know, like there are ways to do it in that sort of premise. It's just why 14 has wrote so many stories with that premise. But then you got to Dawntrail, and it's like, well, now what do we do? Which was a misstep. They really needed to think on that more. And maybe they thought about it, but they couldn't come up with a good answer. Also possible. I wasn't in the writer's room. I don't know. I have no idea what happened during the development of Dawntrail. I have theories, but this is just speculation. Anyways, So it's really good that they had that gameplay section with Shale, where you have to do that little puzzle and like search things out. That was very good. Yeah, and in these imps that they literally do throw Garleans at you in the middle of that tournament, they just show up, which is funny. Grinwat, big angry boy. But yeah, so it's super nice. I hope that is them testing the waters for future, you know, more varied gameplay. Because right now, for the majority of Final Fantasy XIV, the gameplay is one of two things: combat, right, like the actual in-game press buttons to kill things, or walk around to talk to people, right? People complained about it a lot in Dawntrail, as if it hadn't happened for the entirety of the game up until Dawntrail, right? It's been a problem since the start. For whatever reason, I guess Dawntrail, people finally got fed up with it. I don't know. It was exactly what I expected it to be, but I am glad that they are testing things out and experimenting. And I do also appreciate that there's a little more, I want to say comedy. They like inject it every once in a while, which is nice because the MSQ, generally speaking, is mostly devoid of comedy. Like there might be like lighthearted moments, but they don't really crack jokes. And I think in point 3, there's at least 2 that I can think of where you have the locker with like the shrine to Calyx from Director Demetrius's locker. And there's like the sound effect that hits and you just close it like nothing happened. And you're like, yep, nothing in there, moving on. Hilarious. And then you have in Solution 9, when you're talking to Gosan, and all of the other characters, like the miscellaneous characters that showed up in Dawntrail, like show up and we're like, hey, we're on board, we're not going to use the regulators, like we're going to try and convince people and help you. And then I think Wook Lamont says Spheen's name, or no, I think it's Gosan. Yeah, Gosan is like we've got your back, Spheen, and Spheen is like, wait, what? Did you just? No, I'm not Spheen. I'm not. No, that isn't what happened. And then Wook Lamont's like, you know, relax, Spheen. Like don't freak out. And then Kral's like, you just said her name, Wook, right? And it's like that's a straight punchline setup, right? That's flat out anime comedy, which they just don't generally do, in the MSQ at least. So it was kind of fun. I liked it. I like those little moments of levity. They did that a little bit in the Endwalker patches as well. Endwalker itself had no comedy whatsoever, for pretty fair reasons. Endwalker was deathly serious, as it should have been. But I can think of at least one point in, I think, the first Endwalker patch where there's a really funny moment with Y'shtola, depending on what dialogue option you pick, which was pretty good. Speaking of the director, do you think he's still alive? Possibly? They did say that all of the researchers at Preservation got turned into Endless, or were disposed of. So, depending on what happened with the Meso Terminal, I assume since the Meso Terminal got shut down, all of the Endless are now gone, like completely. There's no secrets, and I think Calyx is the only one who got away. So I assume he's dead. Well, he technically died when he got turned into an Endless, because that's what they are, but I assume he's like properly fully gone. I think Calyx is the only one left. Is my theory. They could always just be like, hey, we found one on a USB drive. Here we go. Yeah, we did blow it the fuck up, which was rad. And then, yeah, that brings us directly to finding out that Calyx is in the Meso Terminal and just going in to kick his ass. Which was great. I mean, the Meso Terminal was just a solid dungeon. Probably one of the more straightforward dungeons in Dawntrail. I really liked I think it was the second boss where it got split into one-on-ones. That was pretty neat. First one was pretty cool as well. The third one was fairly basic, but it was still fine. And then we had the run-up to the first trial. First trial, there's only one trial. Where Calyx basically reveals that the grand master plan was to use all the people who had been connected to the Neo Regulators to summon a Primal, which is exactly what I expected. Not that it was hard to guess, but it was still really well done. Director said that he had yet to turn himself into ether, so maybe he chickened out or was commanded by Calyx to do something to preserve himself like Otis. I mean, maybe. There are ways out of it for sure. I don't know if he's an important enough character to bring back. Because I think he's the one with the hentai haircut in the cutscene. If I recall correctly, that's him. Given his appearance, I don't think they're going to bring him back. He looks pretty generic. Yeah, the Neo Regulators were literally just a primal summoning through Wi-Fi. That's effectively what it was, which is exactly what everyone expected it to be. I called that shit literally before we started playing. But it makes perfect sense, which is great. And then, yeah, the fact that he summoned a Primal against Mr. Primal Killer is really funny. But he's not the first villain to try, and he won't be the last, probably. And that trial was super good. The Necron trial was really rad. It is... I know I said it during the stream yesterday, but it is by far the best way. Well, it's the only other way they've done it, but it is way better than the actual Necron in Final Fantasy IX. Like, from a story perspective, it's leaps and bounds better. Necron is such a disappointment in FF9. He literally just shows up, you kill him as the final boss, and then that's it. I get that it's supposed to be thematic based on the themes of 9. I don't care. It's narratively bullshit that he just shows up. This was much, much better. Because I think we were thinking about this before even point 3. I think we called this during point 2. Yeah, and the backup plan for Necron not actually being able to die was very interesting. That was a very interesting caveat. Of like, yeah, he's a primal of death. You can't kill him. He just comes back stronger. Because he's built out of the fear of death, and now you made him fear of death. So now he's stronger. Like, he powers himself. Very, very dangerous. Clutch move by Sphene to basically just convince the people over the PA system that Calyx is full of shit. Classic, classic character arc ender for Sphene. So I like that. And then, yeah, like the whole final cutscene where, I mean, the big thing to point out, the point that I am the most happy with point 3, the fact that we block the hit for Sphene, because I thought for sure it was going to be Wook Lamont again, because it was like, that's a Wook-coded thing to do, but the fact that we get to do it, and then Wook Lamont also blocks the other hit, which was great, that was so nice. The fact that they're finally putting in, like, proper character representation in the game, because before now, every time your character had to use their weapon, it always went down the exact same way. Like, there would be some indication that your character is doing something off screen. It would cut back to you, your weapon is out, the enemy is mid-death animation, and then you just, like, turn around or, like, put your weapon away. And it's like, I've done, like, it always cut into the end of the battle because that was all they could do at the time, and I'm so glad they're finally getting some, like, basic job animations into cutscenes. Huge. I don't need it to be crazy. I don't need, like, crazy bespoke battles for each job. That's asking for way too much. But, like, those little bits, those teeny tiny little bits where, like, we can block and then attack, that's all I need. That's all we've ever needed. And it's a huge step forward. I think there's already a YouTube video of all the different variants for each job in that cutscene. Yeah, so we use our weapon to block the hit, and then you use your weapon to break the meso terminal that you get the final hit in, which is super cool. So the casters, I think I saw a clip of it if I didn't watch the video itself. The casters will cast a spell, like a giant, you know, energy bolt that just blows up the Mesa Terminal. I think bards like charge up an arrow shot and it'll release. I believe machinists have like a gunshot. I don't actually know what machinists have, but they have special shots. Dancers, for whatever reason, attack in melee. They just punch it with the chakrams, which is like, okay. I mean, that would work. I guess they have nothing to like charge as a class, so they're like, I guess you're just pseudo melee in cutscenes. It kind of makes sense. I sort of see the logic. Yeah, I assume Sage uses the funnels, because like each job has baked in animations and like a basic ones. Like you have your auto attack, right? So I'm assuming if they add more jobs in the future, all they will have to do for that cutscene is to just make sure that the animation toggle is using the right animation for that weapon, which is probably the basic attack, right? It probably uses the basic attack upper body, and then they probably have like a special animation for the legs, some sort of like jumping animation, just so they don't have to make bespoke animations of each and every cutscene for each and every job and each and every race, right? Like that's impossible, right? That's like it's like over 100 combinations. So yeah, they can't do that. But if they can utilize animations that are already in the game, that's the smart thing to do, and I'm glad they're doing that. Astrologian? I assume Astrologian just like charges up a spell, same as Aerocaster. I can watch the video. I haven't, but I could. But yeah, it's super nice. And then yeah, of course the that'd be the biggest attack spell for White Mage to date. Yeah. I think I think I saw Black Mage just cast like a big white like magic attack. So I assume that's what every caster does, is just like generic ether bolt, which is like fine. You know, like there's only so much you can ask for. They would have to keep making different animations for cutscenes if they were going to like change the colors for each job. So a basic thing is fine. And then yeah, Wook trying to bust through the barrier and like shredding her hands on her axe was peak. Like S tier shit from Wook. That was fantastic. Very, very happy with that. And the fact that Wook and Sphene worked together to break the barrier properly, that was perfect. And then yeah, you get the whole thing where you attack the Mesa Terminal, and you get that one shot of Calyx where he's like genuinely terrified of like, I'm about to die. Awesome. Yeah, apparently she also broke bones during that, which is like even cooler. I don't know which ones, but she probably had like fractures all over. That's some shonen anime shit, and I love shonen. That was great. And then yeah, we get the wrap up of Dawntrail after that. Sphene pull off an In Thunder, something like Vivi or Steiner? Yeah, probably like sword magic or something. It's not the first Final Fantasy game to do that. There's plenty of games that do it, so there's plenty of explanations. It's magic. They can do whatever. And yeah, the wrap up for Dawntrail, which was super satisfying. Probably one of the best conclusions for an expansion, I think, in the game's history. I can't think of a better like wrap up cutscene. It's been a while since I saw the Shadowbringers one. The Shadowbringers one might be better, but I know the end cutscene for Shadowbringers proper is excellent. But I don't remember if there's an actual, like, proper conclusion cutscene. Yeah, it could be a reference to sword magic. They do love to sprinkle in the references. And yeah, what happened all during the epilogue? Oh, I think the big thing that happened for the epilogue is them restoring living memory, kind of. Where they found out that the memories of the deceased were not deleted, they were just moved. Which does make sense. Because it was always a big deal to me that they rewrote the memories of the funeral for Sveen in point 1. Remember in point 1, at the start there was a big funeral for Sveen, and at the end we found out that, like, their memories had been fucked with, and they all thought it was like that never happened. It does kind of make sense that they didn't actually just delete the memories of the deceased, and they just stored them. They just removed them and put them somewhere else. Which is probably what they did for the funeral as well. They just removed those memories and then put in false memories, rather than just changing them, because changing them is a big deal. That's like mind control. That's a serious fucking thing. Also for the Ascian, why would an Ascian become an Endless if they're already immortal with the fact they bypassed the life stream on death already? I mean, the only reason I can think of is that you can still get your shit rocked by white auracite, because you're still made of ether. Whereas if you're an Endless, you need to find... An Endless is basically a lich, right? Calyx is effectively a lich. He's a digital lich. His soul stone is a server that exists somewhere, which we happen to find in the Meso terminal. So as long as they have connection to digital stuff, it's pretty much impossible to kill them unless you find their home base. So that could be maybe why? I don't know if he's actually an Endless, because it's not confirmed at all. He could just be a regular Ascian, you know, no crazy shit. But, I don't know. It probably also doesn't make sense for the Ascian to be an Endless, just because the Endless are something that can only exist in Solution 9 and the 9th Shard, because of Electrope. So if the Ascian actually wants to fucking leave, like, he can't be an Endless. He's stuck. Because he has nowhere... no Electrope to go to. It'd been crazier if he was white-robed. Well, we know, based on the robe design, that he is one of the Convocation of 14. Because the Convocation have specific robes that they wear. What if you have a portable server like the Tiara? I mean, yeah, I think because Ascians use their ether, because they're incorporeal, they can use their physical form to just freely move between dimensions, that if he was an Endless, I don't think he could do that. Because now he's stuck to a physical object. Is my thought process. I don't think he could dimension travel if he was an Endless. So he's probably not an Endless. But I don't know. I mean, we literally just saw his feet and his arm, and that's all we got. But we do know that there is at least one Ascian that is completely unaccounted for, which I looked up, and it's Pashtarat is the one we don't know of. There are two that we haven't seen, which are Ultima and Dudalaphon, I think their names are. And at some point we see their masks as if they have been killed. That's the implication. So unless they just lost their masks but are still kicking, they're probably dead. It's heavily implied they've been killed. But the only one we don't know anything about is Pastorot. People have theorized that they are Zeus, because there's been hints in the Arcadian storyline that there's somebody pulling the strings. We don't know. It's still too early to really start theorizing about what they could be, because we don't know what their motivations are. We don't even know if it's Pastorot for sure. Not Ultima, Altima, Tima. Ultima is its own sort of plot line, because that comes up in the Pandemonium quest lines in Endwalker. And Magicite is still a problem, because the Heart of Sabik, I believe, is Magicite, and it was given to Athena. She did not make it, so we still don't know enough about the Heart of Sabik. I think, unless that has been answered and I forgot. But that plot line has not been touched in a while, so not sure what's going on there. And then, of course, there is the most unfortunate part about point 3, which is Sphene not becoming a Scion. I was really, really hoping for it, even though they were kind of pointing that she might go back to being a queen. They really waffled back and forth on it, and I was really hoping it would land on her becoming a Scion, but to no avail. Which is very unfortunate. I do think they might be starting to set up some sort of, like, Avengers team that we can call on, because both her and Wuk-Lamat can leave their nations to help fight and not have their nations collapse behind them. Right? Because Wuk-Lamat has Kona as a co-regent, and Sphene has... Well, she has Gululja, which is not a lot to go on, but they specifically said that they're going to revise their system of government to basically put less pressure on the queen and like give less authority to her, making her just sort of a guiding role, which I do like, because the door has closed, but not all the way. It's like still kind of open a little bit. They could open it at any given point. Have any other gifts like the Heart of Sabik been found? I mean, we know where Magicite comes from. That shows up during the Stormblood Alliance raids and the Return to Ivalice quests. But I don't think we know anything about specific stuff like the Heart of Sabik. I think the Heart of Sabik is still kind of a mystery. Yeah. What else is there to say about point 3? Oh, the cinematography, the cutscenes, way higher quality than they have been, I think, at any other point in the game. They really have learned a lot from doing the Hildebrand quests. They have really started to pull out the stops for quality in cutscenes, and I really hope that is a continuous trend, because it gives them so many more options in cutscenes. Like, it just gives them narrative tools to show stuff they couldn't show before, which is a huge deal. And it's cool. It just looks rad. So I'm a big fan of that. And the music. There were like, what, 4 tracks? I think it was like 3 or 4 tracks composed just for this patch. There was at least 3 times where I was like, this is a new track. We have not heard this before. Which is, surprising. Like, I know they like to make new music, but not that much. Asien Thancred said the researchers of some ancient race could never figure out the Heart of Sabik, so maybe there's more to the heart than it just being Magicites. I mean, we have seen the ancients interact with the Heart of Sabik. Athena was an ancient. And I think she I have to look it up now, because it's been so long since I did the Pandemonium raids, I don't fully remember what the deal with it was. Heart of Sabik. It's not Magicite, it's Auracite. That's what it is. It's not white Auracite, but it's just regular Auracite. I could not fucking remember what it was called. Not Magicite. Magicite is another thing. Yeah, the Heart of Sabik is a piece of Auracite that serves as a story element in Final Fantasy XIV, is linked to the ultimate spell Ultima. So it is Auracite. And apparently it fell out of the sky. According to the wiki. And we know where Auracite comes from, because it comes from Ultima, the character. Which comes up during the Stormblood Alliance raids. Which is linked to FF Tactics. The Stormblood Alliance raids are technically an epilogue for the FF Tactics series. So we will probably get more information on that whole plot thread when we actually play Tactics. Whenever we get around to that. Because yeah, Ultima was all about Auracite. But anyways. Yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the music. Shit ton of music. I do have to listen to the Necron theme from FF9. So I can compare it to the Necron theme in this. Because I genuinely don't remember the Necron theme. I mean, I barely remember 9's soundtrack in general. It was like one of my least favorite soundtracks. So I don't remember it super well. But yeah, there was a ton of really good music. And also the use of music in cutscenes. Like the final, the cutscene after the trial, when like all that shit went down and we like busted the Meso terminal, there's like 3 musical cues that like trigger during that cutscene. It starts playing the Alexandrian dungeon theme for Sphene when she, I think, makes her speech, if I recall correctly. Then we block the hit from Necron, and it starts playing the Interphos theme, the Queen Eternal theme. Still, like, I think my favorite trial theme in the game. And then when Wuk-Lamat breaks the barrier, there's literally a pause. I went back and checked. There's a pause when I think Sphene when like Wuk-Lamat is like, you know, I gave her my word. I told her that I'd protect her people. After she says that, I think the music actually stops. And then starts up again when Sphene says her line, or it's at least like timed properly that way. Because when Sphene says her line of like, we'll do this together, like the music swells at a certain part of the song. It's like perfectly timed. I don't know if like you screw with like the auto text box stuff that it can happen that way. Although I think when the Interphos theme starts playing, I don't think there is any text boxes to change the timing of. I think they're all automatic after that point. Probably to sync up with the music. And then of course when Wuk-Lamat like finally breaks the barrier, drops to her knees because her hands are destroyed and she's like got broken bones, and then she smiles and drops out of frame, which by the way, S-tier shot of her dropping down out of the frame and revealing the Warrior of Light behind her in a fucking like hero pose. Oh man, that was peak. That was the coolest I have felt in this entire game. And then it starts playing the phase 2 of Queen Eternal during the victory lap section. It has a new theme. It starts playing that for you. So like they really have gone all out for the cinematics in this game. In this patch at least. I don't know if it's because they put extra effort just for this patch, because they wanted to make this one special, which, I mean, they probably did, because, you know, it's a big culmination of Dawntrail as a whole. Or if they've just learned, or if they've just learned enough about the engine and they've been able to do stuff they weren't able to do before because of, like, back-end changes. And stuff they, you know, tips and tricks they learned on the Hildebrand series. Probably a little of column A and a little of column B, but I'm super glad that they did regardless. Imagine the reveal of a male Rogadin warrior hidden behind Wuklamot. Yeah. I wonder how much the camera angle changes, because I saw someone else go through it, and I think they were like a Mikote, and it looked like it was the same camera angle, but of course they were higher up in the frame because they're much taller than a Lalafell, whereas I was like halfway down. Which is kind of funny, because like, it inadvertently made the shot better because it takes longer to reveal my character, because he's literally the smallest character you can be. So like the build-up and the reveal take longer. Which is very funny. Yeah, music was on point for just the cinematography in general. The cinematography and the directing was really, really good. And they've been doing it since the last patches as well. Even 7.1 really started to show some interesting cinematography. Like the specifically the end cutscene where like Sphene shows up, or Simulant Sphene, and we're like, you're not fucking Sphene, what is the deal? And it like gives us that close-up of her like smirking, while there's like the display glitches out and just starts playing static, and it's like that slow zoom on everyone in like that super creepy way. I think it might even be like a Dutch angle or something. Like, that was a really, really cool cutscene because of that. And then in point 2, they had that, when Simulant Sphene was taunting Wuklamot, and like in the middle of her dialogue, it like cut to an extreme close-up of Wook's eyes just looking fucking pissed as she makes fun of Endless Sphene, and then it cuts back to Simulant Sphene. That was such a good shot. It was so quick, but it was perfect. And then, of course, then you get to point 3, and it's like, no holds barred. They're going completely crazy. And I love at the end, when Calyx, it's revealed that Calyx escaped, and he's, like, literally sitting there, like, hyperventilating and sweating profusely. And there's, like, a blink and you miss it jump scare shot of your character's face. Like, you're now Calyx's boogeyman. That was phenomenal. That was so cool. To see Calyx, like, finally break down and, like, show emotion. What a great arc as a villain. I would love to see him degrade over time as, like, a consistent villain. Just, like, keep coming back and keep getting more and more pissed. Of, like, this motherfucker keeps thwarting all my plans, but I'm also terrified of them. That'd be really cool. It would be awesome to have a villain that is genuinely terrified of us. Because I think that only ever happened in Heavensward. Like, right at the end before Thornton died. There's that, like, one shot where it's, like, black and white, and the shadows are super blown out. So, like, your character's just like a silhouette. And he's like, who? What are you? And then he dies. That was such a good moment in Heavensward, and they just never really did anything like that again. All the proof you need that you need to take the potatoes seriously. They are here to contribute as the Warrior of Light and must be taken in all seriousness. That's genuinely the best part of being a Lalafell. I've talked about this before, but I'll say it again. The best part about being a Lalafell in 14 and why I will never change to another race is specifically because the game has to take me as seriously as people's cool anime edgelords, right? Like, you can have your shonen anime protagonist, you know, like fully decked out, looking super cool, multicolored hair, and then you can also have a tiny little potato man with a pompadour wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and the narrative has to take them both completely seriously. Like, they're filling the exact same role, and it makes me so happy. The fist fight at the end of Endwalker was so peak as a Lalafell. The fact that Xenos is like, yes, you are my chosen, you know, enemy. We are destined to fight and die together. You are the only one who can give me the satisfaction of a good battle. And the camera cuts to like a 2-foot tall potato man. It's amazing. It's so fun. I love being a Lalafell. I love this little man. Yeah, I want to see Calyx get more and more deranged. I almost want him to do like the Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender, where he just gets progressively like more and more unhinged as he tries to deal with you. And he keeps trying to keep that perfect facade of like, yes, I'm just a, you know, stoic little genius boy and none of my plans can go wrong and this is all a minor setback and I will get you next time, Gadget. To like, fucking, I put so much time and effort into that plan. I fucking had him and he still got me. He almost killed me. What the fuck? Like, I want to see Calyx with a full deranged smile. Not right away. Like, I assume he's probably going to show up in the next expansion. Or, well, he might not show up in the next expansion. They might be showing another member of the Winterers, whatever the fuck that is. That could be the villain for the next expansion, and they could be building like a Sinister Six equivalent of all the villains that you failed to stop. And then the final, you know, arc is an expansion where you're dealing with all of them at once and you're finally taking them all out. Sort of a Organization 13 sort of deal. I mean, it is Square Enix. They do love that trope. And hell, so do I. Yeah, the Fortress of Doom. Meanwhile, in the Lair of Evil, it could be cool. It kind of seems like we're doing that. It feels like we're building up some sort of like Marvel movie cast of heroes and villains. Because we have, I mean, we know that Calyx is not top dog because he talks to the Ascian, maybe, like they're his superior. He mentions the others, so there's definitely more Winterers as part of this group. And then on the Warrior of Light side, we now have Smeen and Wook, who can help us in a crisis. So... And Zero, technically, from the Endwalker patches. She's probably part of this eventual hero group, in theory. All women, weirdly enough. Probably next expansion we're gonna get introduced to a dude, I would think. Might be the Warriors of Darkness all over again. Yeah, it's got shades of Warriors of Darkness for sure. I'm very curious what they're gonna do for Point 4. Because when it came to Endwalker, Dawntrail got set up in a 5.5 patch. Like, all the setup for Dawntrail happened in the very last patch of Endwalker. It was not great, honestly. They probably should have done at least one more. At least 0.5 and 5.5. But with this, we should be back to the regularly scheduled programming of having the next 3 patches be set up for the next expansion. And when it came to Stormblood, who I think had the best setup for the next expansion, it really wasn't obvious what we were doing until I think the last patch. Because I think 0.4, things just kind of happen, and then 0.5 gives you a little more information, and then 0.55, they like fully break it down and are like, here's what's going on. I think I don't know if 0.4, 0.5, and 0.55 are always consistent, or if like sometimes it's only 4 and 5, and sometimes it's 3. I don't actually know that. I'd have to look into the patch history of 14. So I'm making assumptions here. 0.4 might be the introduction of the key secrets. Yeah, maybe. I feel like we might not be getting into the key right away. Because they've set up a fair bit for the key. But I feel like what they might be setting up next is something completely different, right? Like, people have been theorizing there's going to be a Meracidia patch, or a Meracidia-based expansion, which is the Continent of Dragons, for a while, because it gets brought up a lot. Like, I think it gets brought up by just about every dragon you meet, especially by Tiamat, who you release during Endwalker, and she just dips, and we haven't seen her since. So that could be the next thing they bring back, is that Tiamat shows up and is like, hey, you need to get to Mericidia, because there's some shit going down. And that'd be a good way to get Instinian back in the picture, because he's been AWOL since Endwalker, or since Dawntrail ended. Imagine a Dravanian race put out with that expansion. They've said that they're not going to make any other races. Because adding Hrothgar and Viera were so much work that they were like, we're never doing this again. And honestly, I don't blame them. It took so long to get both genders of each race in the game. Male Viera weren't until, I think, Endwalker? Yeah, because, fucking what's his nuts? Super dark skin, he's a main character, dark hair. I always forget his name. I had it for so long, and then I've just started forgetting it, and I don't know why. Kakiwa's son. I keep wanting to stay Estinian, and I know that's wrong. Aaronville, thank you. It's because I said Estinian, and the only E name I could think of was Estinian. Yeah, he was the poster child for the new male Viera, and then Wuklamot was the poster child for the new female Hrothgar. And they have, yeah, they've gone on record of like, we're not doing this shit again. That was too much. And I mean, realistically, we have dragon people already. That's the Ra. So I don't think they need to do that. I mean, the cast of races is pretty well filled out. Like, we got cat people, we got bunny people, we got big fucking beefcakes, we got dragon people, we have little mini-me's, and we have cat people but furries. That's 6, right? Oh, and humans. And elves. That's all of them, right? Imagine they're lying to build hype for a full new race. I mean, maybe. But I don't know what they would even add. I mean, the only race I could think of them adding would be like a rat people race, like Freya in 9 for Dawntrail, but they did not do that. So I don't think they're going to do dragon people because the Aura already exist. Unless they wanted to go like dragon furries. Like the Hrothgar, anthropomorphized. Which hasn't really been done in 14, so I don't know what the impetus for that would be. Like, what playable character races are we missing besides rat people from 9? Scalies, yeah, whatever they're called. You know what I mean. Like, mostly they're just human. And then we had Kimari in 10. He's the Hrothgar. We had Fran in 12, which was the Viera. Mikote showed up out of the blue. I don't think there's been cat people before, but they were like, it's an anime game. Throw cat people in it. Lalafell were based on the Taru Taru from 11. And somewhat the dwarves from various FF games. Humans are humans. I think Elizin are new? I don't really think there's been another instance of Elizin. Maybe they were in 11. They were similar to the Lalafell. There was an Elizin equivalent in 11. I don't think there was anything like them in other games. I guess the elves were in 1, right? Wasn't there a village of elves? So I guess maybe that's the inspiration. Vivi's race, or is that just Black Mage Lamb? I mean, Vivi's race was robot. Vivi was Pinocchio. Except he never became a real boy. You can do a Vivi Glam, because the dwarves in this game do look very similar to how Vivi looked in 9. The way they designed them. They're just like black voids with little yellow lights shining from inside a helm. Which is great. Peak design. But on the insides, they do look just like Lalafell. That is confirmed. So yeah, like, I don't know what they would even add. if they were going to add another race, and I don't think they're going to. Let's make sure I'm not going to get kicked for AFK. Yeah. So I doubt it. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible, but I doubt it. It's so much work to rig that skeleton and then make new animations for it for every job. That's why it took so long to get female Hrothgar and Melviera in the game. Because they can't just reuse those skeletons. They are bespoke for each gender. I think except for Lalafell. I think Lalafell do share a skeleton. Actually... Cure and Elzen might also share a skeleton. They're pretty similar. I know Rogadin are different. I know Hrothgar are different. I think Viera are different, but I might be wrong. Still, it's a lot of work, so I'm not going to do it. The beginning of 9 where the circus leader wore a dragon mask. I mean, dragons are a thing, but I don't think they're going to make a dragon race. Again, that's literally what the Aura are. They are explicitly dragon people coded. So to make another dragon person... I mean, I guess they could, because the Mikote and the Hrothgar exist, but it's unlikely, because there have been no dragon people in the game. Before now. It would also, lore-wise, be really weird for 14. I don't know how they would explain that. Other than there just being like a race of dragons that we didn't know about. Maybe that's the plot of Mericidia? There's dragon people now? But that's a lot. I mean, I'm thinking in my head what dragon people would look like, and then I'm thinking of the gear that exists in the game and trying to fit it onto their frame, and that's a big ask. It's going to be Hrothgar all over again with them not being able to wear hats. Because their head's not going to be even vaguely humanoid. Like, Hrothgar are at least kind of close to a human face shape. Dragon people would be right out. There's no way they'd be able to fit those helmets on. Yeah, I would find it very unlikely. Yeah, there's more precedence for the dog people from Stormblood. But again, that's so much work because that's such a unique skull shape. Like, how would you do expressions? Right? You would have to make such unique expressions for a meshed head like that. That'd be so much work. Because you can't just, like, apply the same concepts. They don't have the same face shape. They don't have lips. I mean, they kind of do, but they go like this. They're a triangle. The Vanu Vanu have expressions. Oh yeah, I mean, they make expressions for NPC races, but there's so many expressions for player characters. Like, they do some bespoke animations for NPCs, but making one a player character is such a huge ask. They've already got enough on their plate. I mean, I think they're still making more jobs, right? Like, I think the next expansion is going to have another job. It has to be Gambler. I will be absolutely blown away if it's not Gambler. Gambler has been such a shoe-in for so long, and we only have 3 range DPS right now. Range physical. It has to be Gambler. If it's not, I will be... I don't even know how I'll feel. I just can't even imagine it not being Gambler. Another magic DPS? Get Geomancer in? Unlikely. Maybe eventually? Not for the next expansion. They've said that they have a lot of jobs in the game. I mean, there's what? How many are we at now? 4 tanks, 4 healers, that's 8. 6 melee DPS, that's 14. 3 fizz range, so that's 17. And technically 4 magical ranged, or 21. Not counting Blue Mage, because Blue Mage doesn't get to play with any other classes properly. And we're still getting Beastmaster That is coming in one of these patches. We don't know when, but it is coming. Which is another limited job. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next expansion only had one job that they added. Like only Fizz range and that's it. Because I think the pace of 2 jobs per expansion is not feasible in the long term. They're already having enough trouble raising the level cap by 10 every expansion. We're up to 100. Is the next one going to be 110? Maybe. Or are they going to do something different? We don't know. They've talked about changing it before. Give me Berserker. I want to see the Ayla cosplays. I mean, that's literally... Well, if you're talking about Ayla from Chrono Trigger, that's like Monk and Warrior together. So the closest you're going to get to Ayla is probably just a warrior. Monk is more of a martial artist. The other thing too is that because every job has a unique weapon that isn't shared by other classes, like there's only so many weapons they can add. We have Sword and Shield, we have Two-Hander, we have Battle Axe, we have Gunblade, those are the 4 tanks. Then we have Scythe, Spear, Katana, Fists, Dual Swords, Dual Knives. Those are the melee DPS. Then we have White Mage Staff, Funnels from Gundam, an Orb and Cards, and a Book. Those are the healers. We have a Gun, a Bow, and Chakrams, which are the physical range DPS. And then we have a Black Mage Staff, another book, a Paintbrush and Easel, and a Rapier and a Magical Focus. Those are the magical DPS. There's only so many more weapons you can add, right? Like the cards for Gambler make sense because they're still very unique. Technically, cards are kind of shared with Astrologian, but it's easy enough to make the differentiation. Beastmaster is going to be Whip, most likely, yeah. Blue Mage do have their own little magic staff, but yeah, Beastmaster's probably going to be Whip, so that's another one they can't use. So Gambler's going to be cards, then what else? Like if you want to add like a pirate class, like a Corsair class, that's Sword and Gun. Like a paired weapon, that could make sense. That's different enough. Oh yeah, it could be dice, yeah, dice, or it could be cards and dice, maybe both. Because they have to throw something at the enemy for an auto attack. So for me, I'm thinking cards because they can like gambit that shit out from Marvel. Just like throw the card. But it could be dice, they could be chucking dice at them. Either could work, might be both. But yeah, where do you go from there for other classes, right? Like Sword and Gun for Pirate is the only one I can think of. Staff, I guess, just like a bow staff. That's flies pretty close to Monk. You could have the Bell for Geomancer, that's unique. I mean, what else? Halberd is covered by Dragoon. They have a bunch of halberds. I mean, a halberd is effectively just a fancy spear. Gambler's gonna have 50-50 skills like the slots ability. I mean, all the physical range DPS have RNG built into their rotations. There are random procs for every physical, every Fizz range. Dancer especially has like a ton of 50-50s. Their whole moveset is built out of 50-50s. You do one thing, is it a 50-50 chance to do another thing? You do that other thing, there's a 50-50 chance to do another thing. You do the other thing, there's a 50-50 chance to do another other thing. Like, it's just coin flips all the way down. So, Gambler having a 50-50 would make sense. They're probably going to have a bunch of different chances instead of consistent ones. Just makes sense. Yeah. I guess maybe a chemist? They could have like a flask, a file? How would they make unique file designs? Because they gotta make a shit ton of weapon models, and that's easy with actual weapons. They have enough trouble with guns. How do you make a flask? Probably have to be like a full chemistry kit, which is a lot of work. Yeah. So they have sort of limited themselves through that. So I have a feeling they're going to be reducing the amount of new jobs per expansion. I don't think they can get rid of them because they know full well that that's a huge sales motivator for expansions. Is ICAM, come on man, is new jobs. Like that moves copies, so I don't think marketing is going to let them stop. But they might go down to 1. Gambler might have a seed skill that might proc 3 separate skills that is random which tree you get. Could be, yeah. There's probably going to be a fair bit of RNG in a Gambler. Yeah, Chemist and Alchemist might be too close. That's a good point. That would probably be too much overlap. So yeah, I don't know. I would have to go through all the jobs in like every game. And just like go through and see which ones could theoretically be added. Because we've got a lot of them. Yeah, Alchemist already uses Olympics. We've gotten, I think, the majority of the jobs from 5. The big ones we're missing are Beastmaster, Geomancer, Bard. I guess we have Dancer, Archer is sort of Bard. Dark Knight's in, Samurai's in, Ninja's in, Warrior's in, Paladin's in. Or I guess Knight, technically. Same shit. Berserker's in. Well, that is Warrior, but you know what I mean. What else? Let me look it up. FF5 jobs. Onion Knight? Onion Knight has been referenced in 14. I don't think it gets its own unique weapon is the issue. There is Onion Knight armor in the game, though. Freelancer, which is just Jack of all trades, so nothing really there. Knight, Monk, Thief. Thief is in the game with Rogue, that becomes Ninja. Black Mage, White Mage, Blue Mage, those are all in the game. Red Mage, Time Mage. Time Mage has not been added. That's been in a couple different games. That was in 12 as well. Summoner is in. Berserker's in the form of Warrior. There is Mystic Knight. There could be like a sort of Spellblade class, which Red Knight kind of fills the void for that, but I think they could differentiate it enough that they could make a proper Mystic Knight. Mime, I don't think has any weapon, and it's super weird, so we don't think we can add that. What about all the jobs from Stranger in Paradise? I think Stranger in Paradise, we have most of them. But I'll check there. Open that up. What else? Beastmaster, we're getting. Geomancer is an option. Ninja's in, Ranger's in, Bard is in, Dragoon is in, Dancer's in, Samurai's in. Chemist is kind of similar to Alchemist, so we're probably not getting that. In one of the versions of 5, the advanced / 2013 version, there's Necromancer, Cannoneer, Gladiator, and Oracle. Necromancer, maybe. Necromancy is kind of rare in 14. So I don't know if they could make an entire class out of that. Cannoneer might be a little too niche. Gladiator, as far as I can tell... I mean, Gladiator is literally the name of the starter job for Paladin. So that's probably not going to get added. And Oracle, I think, is usually the combo of White Mage and Black Mage. Yeah, it's like the ultimate match job, which, because we have White Mage and Black Mage, we probably won't get. Cannoneer, machinist but bigger gun. I guess they could have like a two-handed gun, like a proper cannon. That would be different. Let's see. Stranger Paradise, we have Swordsman, Duelist, Pugilist. So Swordsman is your two-hander. Duelist is double knife. Pugilist is fists. Mage is caster. Lancer is spear, sword fighter is one-handed sword, Ronin is katana, marauder is two-handed axe. Pilgrim is a staff, but it might be a 3-section staff. So that might be an option. That kind of flies close to monk, but maybe. Marksman is a gun, and then you get the upgrades, which are warrior, thief, monk, white mage, black mage, red mage, dragoon, knight, berserker, samurai, evoker, and hunter. I think hunter's a bow class, or is hunter the gun? Swords, daggers, and guns. Okay, I know. Hunter's the gun. So it's pretty similar to machinist, and I think evoker is just a caster type. Yeah. I forget exactly what evoker did. Oh, evoker is summoner. Okay, so that's already in. Oh yeah, if Cannoneer got added, it'd be in Limpsa for sure. And the expert jobs are Dark Knight, Breaker, Paladin, Ninja, Assassin, Sage, Tyrant, Liberator, Void Knights, Cyclic Warrior, Summoner, Blue Mage, and Gambler. Which we have the majority of, and the ones we don't have are pretty similar to existing jobs already. So I don't think there's much you can add from Stranger of Paradise. Which kind of makes sense because Stranger of Paradise was a pretty recent game. Void Knight is basically the upgrade for Dark Knight. If I recall correctly. Oh no, Dark Knight is HP management. This is basically just Red Knight. Or Red Mage, sorry. Yeah, full counter playstyle of the Knight and then MP management of the Red Mage. So it's basically just a Spellblade class. Oh yeah, it gets Runic, which is what Celis get in 6. Which I would not be against a Mystic Knight class, like something like Celis. Because I do like Celis quite a bit. I do love Spellblades in every game I can play them. I'm a big fan of that. I wanted that to be Dark Knight, and it was not. But Paladin is already kind of close, although it's mainly just holy magic. What about something like Viking? Is that a job? Viking was in 3, right? Dual axes? Could do dual axes. That could work. I feel like Viking thematically runs pretty close to Warrior. So that would take a little bit of extra design space to figure out how to differentiate the two. You could have maybe like ice magic or something. I could see that being a possibility. I don't know what class that would be, because I don't think I would want it to be another tank, even though it is a tank in FF3. It is specifically a tank in FF3. That's the whole point of the job, is to tank. So that design space might be filled by Warrior. But they could just make it a DPS. They made Gunbreaker a tank in this game. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Maybe. But we're not getting a physical DPS anytime soon because we just got Viper. I think the next thing that we're due to get is a ranged DPS because the last one we got was Shadowbringers. Let me think here. Heavensward, we got a tank and a healer. Stormblood, we got a caster and a physical DPS. Shadowbringers, we got a tank and a ranged DPS. Endwalker, we got a physical DPS and a healer. I have to write this down. Hang on. Tank, healer, Viz, melee, is range. There's probably a list of this online already, and I'm wasting my time, but magic. Okay, so Heavensward was tank and healer. Stormblood was Fizz melee and magic. Shadowbringers was tank and Fizz range. Endwalker was healer and Fizz melee. Get 3. Yeah, we got 2 Fizz range or Fizz melee back to back. Because we got Reaper in Endwalker, and we got Viper in Dawntrail. Yeah, so we've had 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 casters, 3 physical melee, and only 1 physical ranged. So we're due for another physical ranged. I think if we're gonna get 2 jobs in an expansion, the next one is probably tank. Because I think the last tank we got was Shadowbringer, so I think we're due for another tank. We just got a healer. We just got physical DPS. And we got Pictomancer. So yeah, the next, if it's another class, it's going to be a tank. I still think they might be only going for 1 job, but if they do go for another one, it's going to be a tank. Which could be a Mystic Knight. Mystic Knight would make sense. The issue with Mystic Knight is that we already have Paladin, who has a sword and shield, and we have Dark Knight, which is a 2-hander. So if Mystic Knight uses a sword, what kind of sword are they going to use? They're kind of out of options. There's only so many swords you can make. So they would have to come up with some sort of special weapon for Mystic Knight that isn't a sword. Unless they just make a special kind of sword, like, this is a rune blade. It's got runes in it. Here you go. You know? Yeah, they could give it some sort of crazy name. It could just be like a one-handed sword and nothing in the offhand. They technically haven't done that. Because Paladin has a shield in the other hand, and Viper has 2 swords. So yeah, it could just be a one-handed sword. I don't know. Or they could just say, fuck it, and just start doubling up on weapon types. They're gonna be like, hey, it's another 2-hander. Fucking, here we go. Dark Knight gets 1 and Mystic Knight gets 1. And you know what? I think people would be okay with that. I don't think people would be that upset. Different elements and colors and shapes. I mean, the issue with elements, colors, and shapes is that the base weapons for each class are already pretty varied. Because, like, people theorized a hammer class being added to the game. Or some kind of hammer-based class. But the problem with that is that Warrior already has a bunch of hammer designs for their axes. So that might confuse people. Yeah, it would have to be some sort of, like, magic sword, like Magicite or Auracite or something. Or, like, runes in it, again. There are ways to do it, to make it special, but there is definitely overlap with swords in the game. Because we have one hand, so we have sword and board, we have 2-hander, and we have double swords. So the only option left is one-handed sword with nothing in the offhand. Which is kind of Red Mage, but Red Mage is different enough that I think people wouldn't complain. That's a rapier, more specifically. Stabby sword. I don't know. That's assuming they're going to make a Mystic Knight. Rune Blade, guaranteed crit that costs MP. I mean, if they were going to make a Mystic Knight, that probably could be a mechanic. I mean, that would be pretty similar to Dark Knight, who kind of already does that. They have just attacks that cost MP. I don't know. They could just do it like, fucking similar to Pictomancer in a way, where they have like different elemental stages that they cycle through. Or no, it'd be closer to Summoner. Summoner is the one that does that. Where they have like the different elements. You activate an element and then all your shit changes to that element, and then you go through that until you're done and then you switch to the next. That could be fun to a tank. They don't really have anything like that. Paladin kind of had that with a physical or a melee phase and a magic phase, but they sort of phased that out over time. I see Dark Knight constantly out of MP always. Yeah, that's why. They have a weave they can do that just hits the enemy for the cost of 3000 MP. And they need to keep it up to keep their damage buff up, because that's how they get it. It's very straightforward and basic, but enough people play it that they won't change it. Paladin also has a fair bit of stuff that uses MP, but they get it back much more consistently. They have a bunch of things that give it back. So it's pretty rare to see your paladin run out of MP unless they're really fucking things up. I kinda, if they do add a Mystic Knight class, I kinda want it to be a physical DPS though. It would probably make more sense as the tank, but I would just like some class that uses mana or MP more in the physical DPS department. Because I think currently the only one that does like anything with that is Reaper, and it's like their ranged attack, and that's it. I don't think anything else costs MP. So I would like to see kind of like a Dark Knight equivalent for a physical DPS. But we're not getting another physical melee anytime soon. Because we've literally had 2 back-to-back. We're up to 3 now, so we're not getting one for a while. Yeah, like I assumed they would be using like End Thunder and End Fire and stuff. I don't think they would use Stop. Because that is technically in the game. And it's usually reserved for like very specific encounters. You can't really work that into like a damage rotation. Because you can't stun enemies in this game. Well, you can, but that stops being a thing you can do by like Stormblood, really. At least on bosses. Well, probably by Heaven's Word, maybe even late or Realm Reborn. It's mostly just for regular enemies, but anyways. But yeah, I definitely see them going like the elemental route, similar to Summoner. That would just make the most amount of sense. But yeah, that's my vote for a tank class. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what other tank class they could add from jobs I know. Oh, you could like poison the sword for applying a dot. Yeah, that could work. They've shied away from dots in recent years for 14. When I first started playing, dots were more prevalent, and they gradually started removing them. I guess because people found dot upkeep to be kind of boring, which honestly I agree with. I think dots are very boring. Bard still has them. Paladin used to have one, they got rid of it. I think Gunbreaker still has theirs. Does Dragoon still have one? I think Dragoon might still have one. Don't know if they got rid of it or not. Yeah, all the healers have a dot that they have to keep up. The healers are the exception. They all consistently have dots, because otherwise they literally would only have their 1 damage button. I don't think Dancer ever had one. I don't think Machinist ever had one. It was just Bard. Bard has 2 they have to keep up, which is brutal. Samurai still has one. Monk used to have one. They got rid of it, I believe. Summoner used to be all dots, and then they completely reworked the class to be much simpler, which I personally prefer it this way, but a lot of people don't. Yeah, they still have Chaos Thrust for Dragoon. Okay. Wasn't sure, because I don't play Dragoon very, very much anyways. Black Mage, I think, still has Thunder, so that's still in. Red Mage never had a dot, I don't think. Yeah, they never had a dot. Pictomancer doesn't have any, so yeah. They used to have more, and they got rid of a fair few. I don't know how many more they'll get rid of, but we'll see. I do have to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back. But, be back in 5. I'm back. What were we talking about? Oh yes, jobs and various stuff. We've kind of just moved on to 14 talk, but that's okay. I've said all I need to do about Dawntrail. 9 out of 10. Viper has no dot. Yeah, so what Viper had for a while, when it first released, when Dawntrail first came out, which is how I played Viper for most of the expansion, I think. I can't remember when exactly they changed it, but I think it was most of the expansion. What it had was similar to Reaper, where you, instead of having a damage buff, you would apply a vulnerability debuff to the enemy, so they would take more damage from your attacks. Sort of like an inverted damage buff. Viper had that and also a damage buff. But I think of like a week or 2 after Dawntrail came out, they got rid of it. I think it was just because Viper was too busy. Because Viper is already a pretty busy class. There's a lot of weaves you have to do pretty much constantly. So I think they just removed that one thing. And honestly, I think it was for the best. I think I prefer Viper as it is now. I do like Viper a lot. It is arguably one of the simpler jobs to play in the game, but I just find it satisfying. Same thing for Summoner. They're not hard to learn, really not hard to master either. I just enjoy them. They're made for me. Does the Valen on enemies work for allies attacks too? No, it's only for the Reaper's damage. It is not like Ninja's, it was Mug. I think it's like Dokugami now or something. Or it's like a poison spray. They added that with Dawntrail, I think. That one is for everyone, but no, Reaper's is just for themselves. It's literally just an inverted damage buff. You have to keep it up like you would any other damage buff. And it's Reaper's probably most... Reaper's pretty unique, because Reaper has that, and it also has, like, 2 job gauges, which is relatively rare. Because it has its basic gauge, and then it has its, like, super mode gauge. Reaper's great. Reaper's a lot of fun. I played Reaper in Shadowbringers, and I really enjoyed it. I would have kept up with it, but Viper came around, and I was like, shit. Well, actually... I really liked Summoner at that time, and then they burned me with Summoner and Dawntrail, and I went, alright, let's try out Viper, and I fell in love with Viper. Dragoon has a few damage buffs? Yeah, Dragoon has its basic damage buff as part of its rotation, then it has the just strict damage buff that you can just turn on, like it's like every 60 seconds or something. And I think there might be another one as part of maybe its burst phase? I don't remember. Dragoon is like one of my least played classes in the game because I really don't enjoy it. Dragoon is a very shitty leveling experience. But yeah. You would know you play it. I can't remember if they ever fixed the leveling experience for Dragoon, because when I went through it, you didn't get a job gauge until level 70, which sucked ass. It's the basic rotation one and the 2 off GCD damage buffs. What's the second one? Because I know you have, like, the red button. Both 60-second recasts. Hang on. Just quickly switch to Dragoon here. Oh, was it Life Surge? Is that what you're talking about? Because I know this one, Lance Charge. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Just flat damage 10%, 60 seconds. Oh, I guess there was the raid buff with Battle Litany, but I don't really count those. It's the job gauge? Your Skogul? Oh, yeah, it does increase your damage by 15%. I'm covering it up with my face, but you can see it right there. I forgot about that. Oh, I did want to check it. Did they change when you get your Skogul? Or is that still level 70? No, that's still level 70, which is ass. Every other job in the game gets a job gauge either at level 50 or 60, and it's like kind of the core rotation. Dragoon doesn't get until 70, and that really feels bad. Because you get your Skogul, but you don't actually get it to upgrade to Nestrond until 70. At 60, it's just a free damage button. Oh, it upgrades the job gauge to 70? Oh, what is it before 70? Is it just a damage buff and then that's it? Because I think that is a change they made. Because before it was you didn't get jack shit until 70. It was literally blank. But I remember at one point I saw it in a patch notes that they changed it, but that was, I think, years ago at this point. I think that was during the Endwalker patch cycle. Goes from Gerskogul to something else. Click the button under Gerskogul. Yeah, Gerskogul turns into Nistrand when you activate Gerskogul, but you get Gerskogul at 60 and Nistrand at 70. But when you're at 60, I think you still get Gerskogul. It just doesn't... It just gives you the damage buff, but doesn't actually change anything. Because I think at 60 it just activates the gauge, but that's it. Because you don't get Life of the Dragon until 70. There's no trait at level 60 to give you anything. Blood of the Dragon, yeah, I think Blood of the Dragon is the original Gerskogul. Just a damage bonus at 60, it upgrades to Nistrand ready at 70, okay. Because yeah, I think when you first use Gerskogul, it's just damage buff and you don't actually get any fun special abilities. Like nothing cool. Which kind of sucks. Because then you get like Monk, who gets like 2 job gauges. One at 50, one at 60. One is built on crits and the other is based on like combos of attacks. Monk gets a lot very fast, and then it gets nothing until like level 90. The 10% damage bonus for 15 seconds? Yeah, okay. That's kind of similar to Paladin. But Paladin also has the Requiescat. Just has the 25% damage boost with Fight or Flight. But you're supposed to use it at the same time as Requiescat and just pop everything for... Pop your Confiteor combo for massive damage. Excuse me. But yeah, anyways. We were talking about dots, and I don't remember why. But anyways. Yeah. I don't know if there's really all that much left to talk about as far as Dawntrail and 7.3. I think I've said multiple times what I want to about Dawntrail in 7.3, so we might just wrap up stream here, because like I said, I am still pretty tired. I worked on a deck for 8 hours today, 8.5. But yeah. Oh, that's right, we were talking about Mystic Knight, we talked about Poison as a Spellblade thing. Right. Yeah, Dawntrail overall, I know Dawntrail had some problems and people weren't happy, but fuck, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. This is genuinely one of my favorite expansions. It's top 3. I really enjoyed base Dawntrail, even with all of its faults. What it really comes down to with Dawntrail in the base game is that the parts that I disliked, I didn't dislike more than I liked the parts that I liked. That's really just how it shook out. I wasn't really that bothered by the bad parts. And the patch content has been fucking great so far. Yeah, Living Memory is still empty. The lights are on. The sky is not there, but there are no NPCs. There are still enemies, yeah. The enemies are always here. Like, there used to be NPCs that were hanging around here, like, endless. We got some popcorn here. And they are all gone now. Just realized I have my walk toggled. Yeah, there's a sightseeing log in the dock. Look at that. Do I have lookout in this list? I don't, that's fine. I don't use it that often. I was a little mixed on the decision to restore in some way Living Memory. But I think what they did is good. I think I'm happy with the sort of partial restoration. With the environment being more colorful, but the people being gone and the sky changing. I think this is a very happy medium that acts as a really good send-off for the expansion. There was a post I read about like the narrative implications of like the first time you come to living memory, it's like big and gaudy and like super bright and colorful because it's mostly a facade and like people are hiding from the memories of death. And then people remember about death, right? And everything goes away and it's this like blank gray hellscape. And then this look of living memory is basically people coming to terms with death and like accepting it and moving on. Which I really like that take. I think it was like a Reddit thread or something like that. Or a YouTube comment or something. Yeah, it was a great send-off for Kryl and Aaronville. Given that I like how everybody who shut off the terminals in the Dawntrail MSQ went back to the same terminals to turn them on. That was a nice touch. But yeah, and it's still it's definitely a pretty nice place. I do like the ballsy decision to like change this zone so much over the course of the MSQ. It's still one of my favorite moments of Dawntrail, actually turning off living memory like completely and seeing just the blank gray electrope everywhere. Genuinely one of my favorite moments in this game. Such a cool decision. Living memory is is my favorite zone in the game, just from a story perspective. No zone in the game hit me like this one did. When we went through that the first time, that was like 4 hours of getting stabbed in the heart. That was a lot. That's one of the few times I've cried playing video games, or almost. It's happened 3 times, and 2 of them are in 14. One of them was here. It was the stuff with Namika. That fucking got me. And actually, I almost cried with Kafkiwa as well. You think this might be preliminary to do sweeping map changes to new areas and later expansions? Maybe. Like, they've definitely sort of cracked the lid on this concept. I mean, they did something kind of similar in Endwalker with its final zone. So, but like something this drastic, I don't think they attempted before. But if they were to do it in other expansions, I'd be totally down for it. As long as it's like, you know, for cool reasons. Because they also had the city change during the attack, during the invasion in the midway point of Dawntrail. Where like there was flaming rubble everywhere, like dead bodies. That was a really, really cool change. That really sold that super well. I was a big fan of that. Is that a hunt mark over there? I love that I can actually, because of the render distance changes, I can actually see enemies from like across the map. That's so nice. And it's really not as bad on my FPS as I thought. Just a fate? Oh yeah, it's just a fate, I think. No, it's something else. Are they just here? Oh yeah, because these guys are just here. I've never noticed them over here before. Fluid Soul. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them. They were probably already here, or always here, I just never noticed, because I don't often run around just killing overworld mobs. Explode a building or a part of a city, reminding Kryl of the destruction of the students of Baldessian Islands? Yeah, maybe. I know people complained about Kryl in Dawntrail and how she wasn't quite fleshed out enough. To be perfectly frank, I think people kind of got their expectations twisted there because I never expected them to go as farther than they did. I was under the expectation that she was not developed enough of a character to give like a crazy huge arc to. I think that is something they started in this and they will continue on. But that is possibly cope. Aaronville was the same way, but I digress. So I do like that she is a proper part of the Scions now, though. 'Cause, she was a cool character before, but she was mostly just a plot device, and I'm glad she actually gets to get some characterization, which is cool. Yeah, as long as no one turns in the next to Minfilia, yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's no one in the Scions right now who would be able to do that. Like, Alphino is the only one who would possibly do it, and he would never do it for lore reasons because of the Crystal Braves. Like, he has said explicitly, like, do not make me a leader. I saw how well that turned out, and never again. Which is valid. I still have to go over all, like, the relic changes, because I feel like I caught most of them, but there were so many different changes. It threw me off. Because, like, the samurai sword is definitely different. They changed some of the coloring on it, but it still looks great. I still love this sword. Anyways. Urianger, oh god. If he became Minfilia, no one would take him seriously because no one can fucking understand the guy. Yeah, these ones are still the most noticeable. I gotta go over the patch notes and see what specific relics they changed, because I don't remember super well. Just go one by one. I know they changed the Stormblood ones, and I know they changed the Endwalker ones. I can't remember if they changed the Shadowbringers ones. I think they data mined the next stage of these relic weapons. I think it is technically in the game. I didn't look at it because I do want to see them day of, because I do want to stream that patch. Because I think that's the same patch as Hildebrand. I think they're both coming at the same time. So, I mean, I'll eventually just check out a video showing all of them, because I won't be able to show them off in stream, because I won't be able to get them right away. But I'll wait to check those out the day of, just for more content. I did see some thumbnails of them, though. They look pretty neat. We'll see how they look in game. I'm excited to finally get glowing weapons on the Viper. Because there have been no Viper glow weapons, because it's a brand new job. Mandrill Mark II. I don't think they're going to do that again. I do like the Mandrill weapons, honestly. The Endwalker relics are probably my favorite relic series, because they're consistently good across almost every stage. I think the first stage is probably the most disappointing, but like the second and third stage are excellent. Like, they're both really, really good. Whereas like most other relics, I only really care about one of the stages. Because like the Heavensward ones, I only cared about the final stage. The Shadowbringers ones, I only cared about the second last. I think Stormblood, I only cared about the second last. Casino weapons. I mean, we already have the Sabbatender weapons in the Gold Saucer, so I don't think we're getting that. But anyways, yeah, I think we'll wrap up here. I wanted to get an extra Yap session in, because we didn't get to do it yesterday, and I had a lot to talk about. But yes. I'm very happy with Dawntrail. I know I'm one of 12 people who really like Dawntrail, but god damn it, I really enjoyed it. And yeah, the patches were a great send-off. They were exactly what they needed to be, and they were just really, really cool. We yapped for almost a full day, it's true. Yeah, for sure. It's good we waited, because I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it yesterday. I got as little sleep as it was. I forgot to take my meds today, which is even worse. It's fucking tired and having to work. But yeah, that'll be a stream, folks. Hope you enjoyed. I'm probably going to play a little bit more of this off stream, just because I feel like it. Maybe do some, probably some Beast Tribe quests. Maybe I'll do like a roulette or two. We'll see. But yeah. Thanks for some chat today. I think Doppel, it was pretty much just you, because you're the only other person in chat who plays 14. But hey, that's fine. Happy you were here. And everybody who's lurking, we appreciate you as well. Let's see where we're dropping you off, shall we? We'll be back with more FF6 on Tuesday, back to our normally scheduled programming. So look forward to that. So you're working on getting all your crafters and gatherers up to 70. Good luck. Let's see. Rated Tommy in a while? I think we have. Oh, he literally just went live. Maybe we don't rate him right away. We rated Duck recently. You know what, fuck it, we'll just rate Tommy. There we go. He's doing his usual shtick, and we love it, so we're gonna go say hi. But yeah, more Final Fantasy VI on Tuesday. We're cracking away at that. I've been really enjoying that, so excited to get back to it. And then yeah, after Final Fantasy VI gets done, we will have to think of what to do because we still have some time. I think Ghost Trick got brought up, which I don't think is a very long game, so that might be short enough to fit in before Digimon comes out in on the 3rd of October. So that might be what we do, but we'll see how things shake out. But in any case, if you have not joined the Discord already for stuff like stream alerts, the stream schedule, get in contact with the community and us, you can do so right there. And there are the other people I stream with. We are streaming Monster Hunter Wilds on our size channel currently on Wednesdays. So go check them all out. But in the meantime, go say hi to Tommy. Have a good night, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.